Here we have the inside of the Auto-Sleeper Broadway EB. If we firstly come to the main control panel, we can turn the 12 volt on just here. Once we've done this, this control panel has been set up so the majority of the lights will automatically come on. These can all then be individually turned on and off on their own switches. If they are the touch lights, they will need to be touched to come on. Running along the top of this control panel, we have the external temperature. Whenever the solar panel is active, we will get a little picture of a sun just here. The lightning strike is just letting us know that we are connected to main supply. We then have the humidity and the internal temperature of the motorhome. Next we have water pump. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps and fill the boiler up if it's been drained out. Next we have how much water is in the fresh tank and how much water is in the waste tank. And then we have condition of leisure battery, condition of vehicle battery, the current that is on the active battery, the mains current coming in, and then the solar current coming in. We then have entrance light and awning light on and off just here. Battery selection, so we're currently using the leisure battery to run the back end of the motorhome, and now if I've pressed it, we're now using the vehicle battery to run the back end of the motorhome. Whichever battery you've selected on here whilst you're hooked up to main supply is the battery you are charging. If we now press the cog, we will then go into the settings menu. So you'll see both the batteries are set in smart mode, so they will continually cycle. So at the moment, the active battery is the leisure, and that's being charged from the main supply. And because the leisure battery is being charged from the mains, the solar panel is then charging the vehicle. And then as they swap over, we then have automatic tank fill. This just needs to be on if you are using the Whale smart fillers. This just makes the solenoid live to allow water into the van. And beneath that we then have tank heaters. So a tank heater for the waste and a tank heater for the fresh. So if you are using the van in extremely cold climate, you can pop the tank heaters on to avoid any frost damage. We then have lights to be switched on when we turn the power on. So at the moment the main lights will come on and the awning light will stay off. Whether we want key beeps on or off, and then all water level alarms are on. So if your fresh water is low, it will let you know, and when your wastewater is high, it will let you know. We can set the backlight of this control panel and how quickly it times out when we're not using it. And then we can set the time and the date, and then we return back to the beginning again. Beside this, we then have the control panel for the Truma heating and hot water. At the moment it's just displaying the time, and again it's letting us know that we have main supply connected. If I now press the button, it will illuminate, and as I rotate it, the icons will begin to flash. If we start with the first icon here, picture of the motorhome with a thermometer in the middle of it, this one is for your heating. If I now click on it, heating is off. All we now do is just rotate the button and select whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome. Once we've done this, click on it and you'll now see a little flame has appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is in operation, the little flame will begin to flash, and it will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you've asked. The thermostat for the heating is just here. If we now move across, we then have hot water. So again, if I now click on it, hot water is off. If we now rotate, we can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. And if I rotate again, we can heat it in hot, which is about 60 degrees. And if I rotate again, we can also perform a boost on the boiler. A boost is handy if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, it will turn the heating off as it needs the extra power to do it. After heating and hot water, we then have power source. So we are currently using mains electricity using 2 kilowatts. If I rotate, I can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt, which is handy if you're on a low amp site to try and avoid tripping. We can run in dual fuel, so we can run on a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatts, or a mixture of gas and mains at 1. This particular setting is extremely handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only use the gas as it is required. And then if we have no main supply, we can solely run on gas. Next we have the circulation fan for the heating. So we can have it in eco mode, we can have it in high, or we can have boost. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. So if we now click on it, we can then set a start time and then an end time. Once we've done this, we then just pick what we would like on within that time period. Once we've done this, timer on or off. If I now activate the timer icon will come up there, and now within that time period, those settings would apply. If I now return to it, I can turn the timer back off, and when we go back into it, we can alter it again. Beside the timer, we then have clock set just here. And then lastly, we have the settings menu. So within the settings menu, we have offset, which is just for the thermostat. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. We then have temperature, whether you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen. 12 or 24 hour clock. Language. Index, which is really for the technicians, it just lets them know what software this is running. And then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time, these will throw up error codes. They will usually be something basic. I can actually make it error code now if we turn the 12 volt off just here. As you can see, it's now come up W255H. It's just letting us know that it's lost 12 volt. If we now turn the 12 volt back on again, it will then disappear because we've rectified the problem. So 9 times out of 10, as long as you rectify the problem, the error code will just disappear. As you can see, I've just had another one just appear now. It's mainly because I've just turned the power off. If we just turn everything back off again, the error code will just disappear, and then we just refire the system back up again. Other error codes you can get are I do not have main supply, I do not have gas, etc. And again, as long as you rectify the problem, the error codes will usually disappear. This particular system can also be run via the Truma app, either on your phone or tablet. If we just pop into the overhead locker just above the cooker, You'll see the iNet box just in here, looming just in the darkness just there with the little flashy lights on it. If you are going to use this, what you firstly need to do is download the Truma app onto your device. Once you've then done that, you need to make sure that your Bluetooth is turned on and launch the app. Once you've launched it, you'll see a button that says remote control. If you press that, you then just need to follow the on-screen instructions. It will firstly ask you to come to this box. You just need to press the Bluetooth button on the box itself. The blue light will begin to flash, and then you will commence connecting up. Once you've connected up to it, you will then be able to control your heating and your hot water locally via Bluetooth. What you can also do is purchase a pay-as-you-go SIM card and then pop it in the slot which is labelled SIM on this box itself, and then register that through the app, and then you will be able to control your heating and your hot water from much further afield. The boiler itself is just located underneath the bench seat just here. So if we just remove the cushions and now lift up, we'll see the boiler just here. Next to the boiler we have two gas isolation taps, the top one being for the fridge and the bottom one being for the boiler itself. To drain the boiler down for winterization, it's all done just on the drain down valve just here. This valve is also automatic, so if it's in the closed position like it is at the moment and the temperature inside this van drops below about 3-4 degrees, this will automatically open and drop all the water out of the boiler to frost protect itself. If you are going to do it manually, firstly make sure that the water pump is turned off, and then come to this little blue diamond here and twist it. When we twist it, a little blue button is just going to pop out of the base of the unit, and that is now dropping all the water out of the boiler. To close it, twist and then push the blue button back in again, and then fill up your fresh water tank, turn the water pump on, and it will then begin to prime the boiler back up again. You will also need to eventually open the taps. I usually firstly turn them to the hot. They'll cough and splutter as they force the air out. Once they're running freely, I then turn to cold. Again, once they're running freely, then close back up and the system will fully prime. If this auto drains, all that will happen is the blue button will just pop out at the bottom, and to reset it, you just need to push it back in. If you're pushing it back in and it's popping straight back out again, it is just too cold in here, and you will need to turn the heating on to generate some heat to allow it to reset. Also in here on the back wall we have the battery charger, and then the leisure battery itself just in its box just here. This part here is just the pressure switch for the boiler, and then we have the solenoid for the Whale Smart Filler Point on the outside. Tucked away in this corner just here we do have some 12 volt fuses. Again, they're just labelled up here, and they are for basically components mainly on the outside of the van, so marker lights, towing electrics if you had a tow bar fitted, and for the 12 volt feed from the vehicle battery to the fridge. If we now close back up again and then come across to the other bench seat, you'll see underneath here that we have mainly storage. This part here is just where the LPG filler is on the outside, and the barbecue point just there. Freestanding table just here. And a television can be fitted in here. You'll see that we have the 12 volt plug-in point for the 12 volt television, and then aerial fly lead and satellite plug-in point just there. The digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof is just located in this overhead locker just here. Amplifier on and off just here, and control the boost just on the centre dial just here. Beneath it we have the microwave. Advisable to remove contents for travel. This will work when you are hooked up to main supply. We have quick start just here and stop, power settings, defrost, all the normal stuff that you find on most modern microwaves. Beneath that we have the Thetford fridge freezer, on and off just here. This is an automatic model, so as long as you are on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we are currently hooked up to main supply, it's put us onto mains. If I ran outside now and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas. And as soon as we start the engine, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep the fridge cold whilst on the move. We can take it out of auto if we want to, just by pressing here. So I can manually put it onto mains. I can manually put it onto 12 volt maintain. We are going to get an error code at the moment because the engine isn't running. And I can manually put it onto gas. But auto is the easiest to have it on. Temperature control just here. And then back off again. Just above it you have pull out extra worktop. If we now just open up here, we have the consumer unit. So we have the trip switches just here. So we have the 3 individual MCBs and then the main RCD and test button. So if anything's not working on main supply, just come to this point here to see whether or not you've tripped inside the van. Beside that, we then have the 12 volt fuses. Again, they are numbered up and correspond in the Auto-Sleeper handbook. Again, if something's not working on 12 volt, just see whether or not you've blown a fuse. Tucked up the top, you'll see we have an amber light on. This is a button switch. The amber switch is for the heating and hot water on main supply. So if this is turned off, the trimmer control panel will throw up an error code. And the green one is for the battery charger, and we want this on, so when we're hooked up to main supply, we're charging the batteries. We do have one here that isn't illuminated, which says reverse polarity. This will come on if reverse polarity is found. You may find this from time to time on some continental sites. This motorhome is fitted with a little extractor fan just here. 2 fan speeds. And 2 light settings. Beneath it we have the hob, so we have the electric hot plate just here, which again operates from main supply and is turned on and off just here. We then have the 3 gas rings, and that is just push in, twist and push the igniter. Beneath that we then have the grill, and again that's just operated by pushing in, twisting around and pushing the igniter. And then the oven Underneath the oven we have storage, but tucked right at the very back there is a plug plugged in, which is for the electric hot plate. If we now move into the washroom, we have the shower just here. When the light is on in the shower, that also operates the extractor fan. Do make sure that the shower screen is secured for travel. We then have the basin. And the Thetford toilet. To open to the cassette, slide the lever across. Blue button to flush. Illumination here to let you know when the cassette needs emptying. Do make sure that this is closed back up again when trying to remove the cassette from the outside, or it will not come out. Then have the wardrobe with the smaller table and pole just here.